Hare Krishna. So, it's the middle of the afternoon here. Just took a little nap. It's so hot, can hardly do anything. But I was going to read a little bit from Chaitanya Siksamrta. It's very, very precise, detailed work by Bhaktivinode Thakur around the end of the 18th century, 1890s, I believe, 1886, 1890, something, 96. Toward the end of the 18th century, he was a very elevated, pure devotee of Lord Krishna. And his writing is very scholarly, very clear, and everything is discussed from a lot of different angles of vision. He gives a lot of perspective on different aspects of transcendence. And so we've read through the first two parts of the first chapter. Now this is the third part. And I'm waiting for it to cool down a little bit because I'm going to go out and chant public. So I'm so small and insignificant, it really doesn't matter, practically speaking, what I do. I'm not going to have a whole lot of impact on current events. Very small, insignificant living entity. But if I can go out and chant a little bit, maybe Krishna will be pleased, because he says that's the sacrifice for the sage. That's the form of religion, is to chant his holy names. So I'm chanting here in the privacy of the place where I live, and I can go out also and chant. And then people can see. They may not understand so much philosophically or whatever, but the Lord says he's put all his potencies in his holy name alone. So if I go out with that understanding and try to please him by doing what he says he wants us to do, so that's what we'll do later. When it's going to cool down in a little while. In the meantime, let's read a little something. Bhaktivinode Thakur. He pull it up on the screen here. I'm putting the link on the YouTube, in the YouTube, because it's available online. All these scriptures are available online. The mercy of the wonderful devotees who are organizing all of this great literature. So this is part 3. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pistaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvisesa Sunyabadi Paskita Disatarane. Jai. So part 3. Krishna, Krishna Shakti, and Ras. The eternal blissful form of Krishna is the Supreme Lord. He's without beginning. He's the origin of all else. In the scriptures he's called Govinda. He's the cause of all causes. This is a quote from Chaitanya Charitamrita. O Sanatan, please hear about the eternal form of Lord Krishna. He's the absolute truth, devoid of duality, but present in Vrindavan as the son of Nanda Maharaj. Krishna is the original source of everything, and the sum total of everything. He appears as the supreme youth, and his whole body is composed of spiritual bliss. He's the shelter of everything, and the master of everyone. The original, supreme personality of Godhead is Krishna. His original name is Govinda. He is full of all opulences. His eternal abode is known as Goloka Vrindavan. It is possible for the jivas to realize the form of God, for God has given man the ability to realize him. By this ability, the elevated jivas can realize the form of the Lord. Man has three means of realization: gross material organs of knowledge, the subtle body, or the mind's comprehension power, and the ability of the jiva to perceive spiritual matters. The eye, ear, nose, tongue, and skin are the five organs by which the external world is understood. This is all material knowledge. By contemplation, remembrance, or meditation on objects of material knowledge, only more material knowledge, or at most, a perverted glimpse of spirit is possible. Thus, two ways of gathering knowledge are material. It's not possible to have realization of the form of the Lord, which is purely spiritual, by these bodily faculties. Unless a person takes shelter of the faculties of the soul, spiritual vision of the Lord is impossible. People who try to see the form of the Lord by taking shelter of the material senses practice asana, pranayama, dhyana, dharana of the yoga system, and by the process of negation, understand the Lord as the soul of the universe. The final goal is a vision of the Paramatma. But by such activity, the perfect spiritual realization cannot be obtained. All that is achieved is fragmentary realization based upon negation of material knowledge. Those with extreme negativity consider material form as abominable and imagine a formless, unchanging, existing God. They attempt to realize Brahman, but actually their vision of Brahman is only a show. Mahaprabhu said to Sanatan, "There are three kinds of spiritual processes for understanding the absolute truth. The process of speculative knowledge, mystic yoga, and bhakti yoga. According to these processes, the absolute truth is manifest as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. When one accepts Vedic literature by interpretation, or even by dictionary meaning, directly or indirectly, the ultimate declaration of Vedic knowledge points to Lord Krishna. Thus, when a jiva desires to see the Lord, according to his qualification, he sees the appropriate form of the Lord. Accordingly, as one practices karma yoga, jnana yoga, or bhakti yoga, one will see Paramatma, Brahman, or Bhagavan. The wise call the non-dual spiritual entity tattva, or absolute truth. But this absolute entity is perceived differently by differently qualified instruments. Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan are actually one entity, but the person thinks the object which he perceives to be supreme. Bhagavan is Shri Krishna. Those who disregard Krishna, thinking him to be an ordinary mortal performing material activities, have very meager understanding of spiritual truth. Mahaprabhu taught Sanatan about Krishna as Bhagavan, quoting from the Bhagavatam. Only by devotional activity can one understand the transcendental form of the Lord, which is perfect in all respects. Although his form is one, he can expand his form into unlimited numbers by his supreme will. Supreme Personality of Godhead exists in three principal forms: Svayamrup, Tadekatmarup, and Avesharup. The original form of the Lord is exhibited in two forms, Svayam Rup and Svayam Prakash. In his original form as Svayam Rupa, Krishna is observed as a cowherd boy in Vrindavan. In his original form, Krishna manifests himself in two features, Prabhava and Vaibhava. And that's from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. There are 6 types of incarnations of Krishna. One is the incarnations of Vishnu, Another is the incarnations meant for the performance of pastimes. There are incarnations for control of the material qualities, incarnations of the Manus, incarnations in different millenniums, incarnations of empowered living entities. And that's from Chaitanya Charitamrita. The conclusion is that Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva are simply devotee incarnations who carry out orders. However, Lord Vishnu, the maintainer, is the personal feature of Lord Krishna. The six opulences, or bhaga, are complete wealth, complete courage, complete fame, complete beauty, complete knowledge, and complete renunciation. That person who has all these qualities is called Bhagavan. Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan because he reveals most completely all the qualities by his very nature. There's no entity equal to or greater than Krishna. He resides eternally in his original form in Goloka. His direct expansions, or Tadikatma Rupa, perform their activities by his will. Mahavishnu is Krishna's first Purusha avatar. He lies on the Karana ocean. His partial expansions are Garbhodakshay and Kshirodakshay Vishnu. The avatars, such as Ram and Nishinga, are expansions from them. But Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan, the source of the Purusha avatars. Though Krishna is supreme, he appears in the material world as the son of Nanda by his inconceivable power. The Brahman, which is mentioned in the Upanishads, is but his effulgence. The Paramatma, which is mentioned in the Upanishads and Yoga scriptures, is one part of Krishna. There are many proofs for these two statements in the scriptures, and this cannot be understood by reasoning or logical rules. As the light spreads out from the sun, from Krishna, endowed with all wonderful qualities, unlimited rays spread out in all directions. Characterized by negative attitudes such as formlessness, those rays take the form of impersonal Brahman in the hearts of men cultivating negation of material consciousness. Yogis seek out Paramatma, the expansion of Krishna, who creates and enters into the universe. The object of worship for the less intelligent men is but a transformation of material sattva-gun, which has qualities such as formlessness. Out of fear of contamination by worship of human forms or material qualities, the less intelligent resort to formless and unchanging concept. But by this they are deprived of Krishna Prema. By material conception, the pure dharma of the jiva becomes polluted. Those who become attracted to Krishna's glories and beauty are saved from the negative, impersonal mentality and see the kingdom of God. The jiva can by good fortune attain this unlimited happiness, but a man whose intelligence is overcome by material knowledge cannot see the spiritual kingdom. Though Krishna is eternally the Lord of Goloka, by his inconceivable power he descends to the material world by his own will, along with his residents, Raj, and yet carries out his activities in a pure, variegated way. The jiva can understand these transcendental activities of the Lord by the pure vision of his soul, and not by the material eye. Though Krishna may become visible to the material eye by his power, usually he remains invisible. As the pastimes of Krishna are eternal, not polluted by material time and place, they are visible only to the devotional eye of the pure spirit soul, and held in the mind saturated with love. As long as a person tries to approach Krishna with pride of material knowledge, Krishna will remain far away. When a person calls out to Krishna with a humble heart, he sees Krishna and experiences the Lord's unlimited bliss. With the appearance of genuine faith, he loses his material pride and offensive nature. For this reason, understanding of Krishna remains far away from those who are proud of their material status. Thus, it is easy to understand why Krishna is disregarded in the modern world. The unfortunate position of science is that it tries to know truths which are beyond its scope. Though it has no qualification for spiritual matters, it tries recklessly to understand and ends up with worthless conclusions and a depraved mentality. Krishna gives his mercy when a jiva shows humility born of association with devotees. This is his qualification for spiritual matters. It is impossible to gain spiritual knowledge by material intellect. Krishna's energies are unlimited. The meager knowledge of the jiva cannot even understand what energies exist in the various parts of the unlimited universe. In the spiritual world, across the Viraja, exists Vaikuntha, and above that, Goloka Vraj. In Vaikuntha, four-armed Narayan displays his majesty. In Goloka, with the predominance of sweetness, all majesty is hidden. Krishna is the possessor of all energies. He has one great energy, which is called Maya, in many places in the scriptures. Maya means the external manifestation of Krishna, by the definition miyate anaya, that by which things are measured. Krishna cannot be understood except through the agency of Maya. Learned men divide Krishna's energies into the superior spiritual energy, Chit Shakti, and inferior or material energy, Maya Shakti. Actually, the superior energy is the inconceivable energy. The inferior energy is a shadow. That inferior energy is the controller of the material universe. The Maya Shakti, which is condemned in spiritual discussions, is this inferior energy, not the spiritual energy. Lord Krishna naturally has three energetic transformations. These are known as the spiritual potency, the living entity potency, and the illusory potency. Krishna has unlimited potencies, out of which three are chief: willpower, power of knowledge, and creative energy. That's from Chaitanya Charitamrita. The Supreme Personality of Godhead in his original form is full of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. The spiritual potency in these three portions assumes three different forms. The three portions of the spiritual potency are called Ladini, Sandini, and Samvit. We accept knowledge of these as full knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Spiritual potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead also appears in three phases: internal, marginal, and external. These are all engaged in his devotional service and love. And that's from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. This means that Krishna has one personal energy called Svarup Shakti or Para Shakti. This Para Shakti has three Vaibhavas, three Prabhavas, and three Anubhavas by Krishna's will. The three Vaibhavas are Chit Shakti, Jiva Shakti, and Maya Shakti. The three Prabhavas are Icha Shakti, Kriya Shakti, and Jnana Shakti, and the three Anubhavas are Sandini, Ladini, and Samvit. By the influence of the Icha Shakti, Supreme Will, the Chit Shakti manifests Goloka, Vaikuntha, and other places of the Lord's pastimes. Krishna's names, the Lord's various two-handed or four-handed or six-handed forms, the pastimes with his associates in Goloka, Vrindavan, and Vaikuntha, and spiritual qualities such as mercy, forgiveness, generosity. By the influence of the Jnana Shakti, the Chit Shakti produces various perceptions. Aishvarya, Madhurya, and beauty of the spiritual world. Krishna alone possesses the Icha Shakti. The controller of the Jnana Shakti is Vasudeva, and the controller of the Kriya Shakti is Baladeva or Sankarshan. By the influence of the Icha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, and Kriya Shakti upon the Jiva Shakti, the forms of eternal associates, devatas, men, demons, and rakshasas appear. By the influence of Krishna's Kriya Shakti, the Lord's activities become manifest. With the Chit Shakti, the Sandhini, Samvit, and Ladini Shaktis combine to produce the distinctive ecstasies of prema. This energy is unlimited and endless. All the activities of Chit Shakti are eternal. Although there is no question of creation as far as the spiritual world is concerned, the spiritual world is nonetheless manifest by the supreme will of Sankarshan. The spiritual world is the abode of the pastimes of the eternal spiritual energy. And that's from Chaitanya Charitamrita. By the agency of the material energy, this same Lord, Sankarshan, creates all the universes. The dull material energy, known in modern language as nature, is not the cause of the material universe. Without the Supreme Personality of Godhead's energy, dull matter cannot create the cosmic manifestation. Its power does not arise from the material energy itself, but is endowed by Sankarshan. Dull matter alone cannot create anything. The material energy produces the creation by the power of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Iron itself has no power to burn, but when iron is placed in fire, it's empowered to burn. And that is also from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Another name of the shadow energy is material nature. The Kriya Shakti is also called Sankarshan Shakti. The transitory transformation of Maya Shakti is the material world. And the Jiva Shakti will be more clearly delineated in the next chapter. Krishna is the embodiment of Ras. That is the statement of the Vedas. One can appreciate the nature of Ras by consulting the 7th part of the 1st chapter. Words are material, and therefore whatever is said, even with great care, is bound to have material connotation. If the reader is endowed with faith, however, the transcendental Ras will appear in his heart. This will arise through association and good fortune. It cannot arise through reasoning. And by bad association, a material conception of Ras, as with Sahajias, will lead to the downfall of the inquisitive. The nature of Ras must be understood with great care. Krishna himself, endowed with 64 transcendental qualities, is the perfect embodiment of continuous Ras. Of these 50 qualities, Of these 50 qualities are present in small amount in the jivas. Of these 50 qualities are present in small amount in the jivas. These 50 qualities and an additional 5 qualities are present in Shiva, Brahma, Ganesh, Surya, and other devatas. For that reason, though they are not God, they are always called Ishvara, or Lord. These 55 qualities and an additional 5 are present in fullness in Narayan and the avatars. These 60 qualities and an additional 4 extraordinary qualities are present in Krishna. For this reason, Krishna is the Supreme Lord, the supreme possessor of power. All the variety existing in the Swarup Shakti become personified forms who assist in the Shanta, Dasya, Vatsalya, Sakya, and Madhurya Ras. The embodiment of Ladini Radha, is the principal personality. Though this Ras is present in Golok Vraj by Krishna's will, Yogamaya, the Chit Shakti, manifests the same Ras perfectly in the Vraj of the material world. But those whose intelligence cannot surpass material qualities, not being able to appreciate or understand the transcendental nature of Ras, will disregard it. As Srimad Bhagavatam says, those who are filled with faith and describe or hear about Ras quickly attain prema, the perfect stage of devotion, and become freed from the material disease afflicting the heart. This is Mahaprabhu's highest teaching. Lowest of all is located Devidam. Next above it is Maheshdam. Above Maheshdam is placed Haridam, and above them all is located Krishna's own realm named Goloka. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, who has allotted their respective authorities to rulers of those graded realms, and that's Brahma Samhita. When a diseased eye is treated with medicinal ointment, it gradually recovers its power to see. Similarly, as a conscious living entity cleanses himself of material contamination by hearing and chanting the pious narrations of my glories, he regains his ability to see me, the absolute truth, in my subtle spiritual form. And that's from Srimad Bhagavatam. Therefore, control your speaking, subdue the mind, conquer the life air, regulate the senses, and through purified intelligence bring your rational faculties under control. In this way, you will never again fall onto the path of material existence. A transcendentalist who does not completely control his words and mind by superior intelligence will find that his spiritual vows, austerities, and charity flow away just as water flows out of an unbaked clay pot. Being surrendered to me, one should control the speech, mind, and life air, and then, through loving devotional intelligence, one will completely fulfill the mission of life. And that is from Srimad Bhagavatam. Learned transcendentalists who know the absolute truth call this non-dual substance Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Srimad Bhagavatam. All of the above-mentioned incarnations are either plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions of the Lord, but Lord Shri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. All of them appear on planets whenever there is a disturbance created by the atheists. The Lord incarnates to protect the theists. Srimad Bhagavatam. By his will I create, Lord Shiva destroys, and he himself in his eternal form as the personality of Godhead maintains everything. He is the powerful controller of these three energies. Srimad Bhagavatam. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, whose effulgence is the source of the non-differentiated Brahman mentioned in the Upanishads. Being differentiated from the infinity of glories of the mundane universe, and which appears as the indivisible, infinite, and limitless truth. Brahma Samhita. You should know Krishna to be the original soul of all living entities. For the benefit of the whole universe, he has, out of his causeless mercy, appeared as an ordinary human being. He has done this by the strength of his internal potency. Srimad Bhagavatam. O Vyasadeva, your vision is completely perfect. Your good fame is spotless. You are firm in vow and situated in truthfulness, and thus you can think of the pastimes of the Lord in trance, for the liberation of the people in general from all material bondage. Srimad Bhagavatam. Thus, he fixed his mind, perfectly engaged it by linking it in devotional service, without any tinge of materialism, and thus he saw the absolute personality of Godhead along with his external energy, which was under full control. And that's from Srimad Bhagavatam. The intelligence of cruel-minded persons is blinded by false pride based on great wealth, opulence, prestigious family connections, education, renunciation, personal beauty, physical strength, successful performance of Vedic rituals. Being intoxicated with this false pride, such cruel persons blaspheme the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his devotees. And that's from the Bhagavatam. My Lord, if one is favored by even a slight trace of the mercy of your lotus feet, he can understand the greatness of your personality. But those who speculate to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead are unable to know you, even though they continued to study the Vedas for many years. Srimad Bhagavatam. O Supreme Great One, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, O Super Soul, Master of all mystic power, your pastimes are taking place continuously in these three worlds, but who can estimate where, how, and when you are employing your spiritual energy and performing these innumerable pastimes? No one can understand the mystery of how your spiritual energy acts. Srimad Bhagavatam. O Brahma, whatever appears to be of any value, if it is without relation to me, it has no reality. Know it to be my illusory energy, that reflection which appears to be in darkness. My dear Lord, in your impersonal manifestation of Brahman, there are always two opposing elements, knowledge and ignorance. Your multi-energies are continually manifest, but the impersonal Brahman, which is undivided, original, changeless, unlimited, and blissful, is the cause of the material manifestation. Because you are the same impersonal Brahman, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Anyone who faithfully hears or describes the Lord's playful affairs with the young gopis of Vrindavan will attain the Lord's pure devotional service. Thus he will quickly become sober, conquer lust, the disease of the heart. And that's from Srimad Bhagavatam. And that is the end of the first chapter, part 3. Chaitanya Siksamrta, Bhaktivinode Thakur.